Maybe. There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
And howdy, everyone. Welcome to the Word 230. Hello, Glenna. Hello, Lynn.
Hello.
We may have others join us later. So we are continuing in Jubilees today. Let's see. Which is, I'll be reading from this website, pseudepigraphia.com/Jubilees. If I'm pronouncing that wrong, oh well, I can't hear you. So, anyways, that we will be doing Jubilees chapters 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 today. But as per usual, let's go ahead and pray in for everybody that's joining us. Father, thank you very much for bringing us together to study this book and read it. And we just ask for you to pour out your spirit of knowledge and discernment on everybody here now and in the future. And let us get the message that you need us to have. We're very grateful for that, and thank you. We are proud to call you Father Abba. And, well, we're blessed too, as well. We would ask you to continue healing those that you have been healing. Thank you for delivering certain people from illness just in a matter of hours. It's a real blessing. And, well, continue to guide us and just let us know you're with us every step of the way. Thank you, Father. We love you. In Jesus Yeshua's name, amen. Okay. What are we doing? We're reading Jubilees, man. Okay, well, got to put up a banner. And then we'll go ahead and put up some belies. Jubilees. All right. So, chapter 6 of the book of Jubilees. And on the new moon of the third month, he went forth from the ark and built an altar on that mountain. And he made an atonement for the earth, and took a kid and made an atonement by its blood for all the guilt of the earth, for everything that had been on it had been destroyed, save those that were in the ark with Noah. And he placed the fat thereof on the altar, and he took an ox, and a goat, and a sheep, and kids, and salt, and a turtle dove, and the young of a dove, and placed a burnt sacrifice on the altar, and poured thereon an offering mingled with oil, and sprinkled wine, and strewed frankincense over everything, and caused a goodly savor to arise acceptable before the Lord. And the Lord smelt the goodly savor, and he made a covenant with him, that there should not be any more a flood to destroy the earth, and that all the days of the earth, seed time and harvest, should never cease. Cold and heat, in summer and winter, and day and night should not change their order, nor cease forever. And you, increase ye and multiply upon the earth, and become many upon it, and be a blessing upon it. The fear of you and the dread of you I will inspire in everything that is on earth and in the sea. And behold, I have given unto you all beasts, and all winged things, and everything that moves on the earth, and the fish in the waters, and all things for food. As the green herbs, I have given you all things to eat. But flesh, with the life thereof, with the blood, ye shall not eat. For the life of all flesh is in the blood, lest your blood of your lives be required. At the hand of every man, at the hand of every beast, will I require the blood of man. Whoso sheddeth man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed. For in the image of God made he man. And you, increase ye, and multiply on the earth. And Noah and his sons swore that they would not eat any blood that was in any flesh. And he made a covenant before the Lord God forever throughout all the generations of the earth in this month. On this account he spake to thee that thou shouldst make a covenant with the children of Israel in this month upon the mountain with an oath, and that thou shouldst sprinkle blood upon them because of all the words of the covenant which the Lord made with them forever. And this testimony is written concerning you, that you should observe it continually, so that you should not eat on any day any blood of beasts or birds or cattle during all the days of the earth, And the man who eats the blood of beast or of cattle or of birds during all the days of the earth, he and his seed shall be rooted out of the land. And do thou command the children of Israel to eat no blood, so that their names and their seed may be before the Lord our God continually. And for this law there is no limit of days, for it is forever. They shall observe it throughout their generations, so that they may continue supplicating on your behalf with blood before the altar. Every day and at the time of morning and evening they shall seek forgiveness on your behalf perpetually before the Lord, that they may keep it and not be rooted out. And he gave Noah and his sons a sign that there should not be again a flood on the earth. And he set his bow in the cloud for a sign of the eternal covenant, that there should not again be a flood on the earth to destroy it all the days of the earth. For this reason it is ordained and written on heavenly tablets, that they should celebrate the Feast of Weeks in this month once a year, to renew the covenant every year. And this whole festival was celebrated in heaven from the day of creation till the days of Noah, 26 jubilees and 5 weeks of years. And Noah and his sons observed it for 7 jubilees and 1 week of years, till the day of Noah's death. And from the day of Noah's death, his sons did away with it until the days of Abraham, and they eat blood. But Abraham observed it, and Isaac and Jacob and his children observed it to thy day, up to thy days. And in the days of the children of Israel forgot it, until ye celebrated it anew on this mountain. And do thou command the children of Israel to observe this festival in all their generations, for a commandment unto them. 1 day in the year, in this month, they shall celebrate the festival. For it is the Feast of Weeks and the Feast of First Fruits. This feast is twofold and of a double nature, according to what is written and engraven concerning it. Celebrate it. For I have written in the book of the first law, in that which I have written for thee, that thou shouldst celebrate it in its season, 1 day in the year. And I explained to thee its sacrifices its sacrifices that the children of Israel should remember, and should celebrate it throughout their generations in this month, 1 day in every year. And on the new moon of the first month, and on the new moon of the fourth month, and on the new moon of the seventh month, and on the new moon of the 10th month are the days of remembrance, and the days of the seasons in the 4 divisions of the year. These are written and ordained as a testimony forever. And Noah ordained them for himself as feasts for the generations forever, so that they have become thereby a memorial unto him. And on the new moon of the first month he was bidden to make for himself an ark. And on that day the earth became dry, and he opened the ark and saw the earth. And on the new moon of the 4th month of the months of the depths of the abyss beneath were closed. And on the new moon of the 7th month, all the mouths of the abysses of the earth were opened, and the waters began to descend into them. And on the new moon of the 10th month, the tops of the mountains were seen, and Noah was glad. And on this account he ordained them for himself as feasts for a memorial forever. And thus are they ordained. And they placed them on the heavenly tablets. Each had 13 weeks, from one to another, past their memorial, from the first to the second, and from the second to the third, from the third to the fourth. And all the days of the commandments will be 52 weeks of days, and these will make the entire year complete. Thus it is engraven and ordained on the heavenly tablets. And there is no neglecting this commandment for a single year or from year to year. And command thou the children of Israel that they observe the years according to this reckoning, 364 days, and these will constitute a complete year, and they will not disturb its time from its days and from its feasts. For everything will fall out in them according to their testimony, and they will not leave out any day nor disturb any feasts. But if they do neglect and do not observe them according to his commandment, then they will disturb all their seasons, and the years will be dislodged from this order. And they will disturb the seasons, and the years will be dislodged. And they will neglect their ordinances. And all the children of Israel will forget, and will not find the path of the years, and will forget the new moons and seasons and Sabbaths, and they will go wrong as to all the order of the years. For I know and from henceforth will I declare it unto thee. And it is not of my own devising, for the book lies written before me, and on the heavenly tablets the division of days is ordained, lest I forget the feasts of the covenant, and walk according to the feasts of the Gentiles after their error and after their ignorance. For there will be those who will assuredly make observations of the moon, how it disturbs the seasons and comes in from year to year 10 days too soon. For this reason, the years will come upon them when they will disturb the order and make an abominable day, the day of testimony, and an unclean day, a feast day. And they will confound all the days, the holy with the unclean, and the unclean day with the holy. For they will go wrong as to the months and Sabbaths and feasts and jubilees. For this reason I command and testify to thee, that thou mayest testify to them. For after thy death thy children will disturb them, so that they will not make the year 364 days only. And for this reason they will go wrong as to the new moons and seasons and Sabbaths and festivals, and they will eat all kinds of blood with all kinds of flesh.
Okay, chapter 7. And in the 7th week, in the first year, 1317 a.m. thereof, in this jubilee, Noah planted vines on the mountain in which the ark had rested, named Lubar, one of the Ararat mountains, and they produced fruit in the 4th year, 1320 a.m. And he guarded their fruit and gathered it in this year in the 7th month. And he made wine therefrom and put it in a vessel and kept it until the 5th year, 1321 a.m., until the 1st day on the new moon of the 1st month. And he celebrated with joy the day of this feast, and he made a burnt sacrifice unto the Lord, 1 young ox and 1 ram, and 7 sheep, each a year old, and a kid of the goats, that he might make atonement thereby for himself and his sons. And he prepared the kid first, and placed some of its blood on the flesh that was on the altar which he had made, and all the fat he laid on the altar where he made the burnt sacrifice. And the ox, excuse me, and the ram and the sheep, and he laid all their flesh upon the altar. And he placed all their offerings mingled with oil upon it, and afterwards he sprinkled wine on the fire which he had previously made on the altar. And he placed incense on the altar, and caused a sweet savor to ascend as acceptable before the Lord his God. And he rejoiced and drank of this wine, he and his children, with joy. And it was evening, and he went into his tent, and being drunken, he lay down and slept, and was uncovered in his tent as he slept. And Ham saw Noah his father naked, and went forth and told his brethren without. And Shem took his garment and arose, and he and Japheth, and they placed the garment on their shoulders, and went backwards, and covered the shame of their father, and their faces were backwards. And Noah awoke from his sleep, and knew all that his younger son had done unto him. And he cursed his son, and said, Cursed be Canaan, and enslaved servant shall he be unto his brother. And he blessed Shem, and said, Blessed be the Lord God of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. God shall enlarge Japheth, and God shall dwell in the dwelling of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. And Ham knew that his father had cursed his younger son, and he was displeased that he had cursed his son. And he parted from his father, he and his sons with him, Cush, Mizraim, and Put, and Canaan. And he built for himself a city, and called its name after the name of his wife, Nelel Tamauk. And Japheth saw it, and became envious of his brother. And he too built for himself a city, and he called its name after the name of his wife, Adonantis. Okay. And Shem dwelt with his father Noah, and he built a city close to his father on the mountain, and he too called its name after the name of his wife, Sedekedalab. And behold, these 3 cities are near Mount Lubar, Sedeketalabad, fronting the mountain on its east, and that one on the south, Adatanta's east through the west, towards the west. And these are the sons of Shem, Elam and Asher. Arpachshad, his son, was born 2 years after the flood, and Lud and Aram. The sons of Japheth, Gomer and Magog, and Madai, and Javan, and Tubal, and Meshech, and Tiras. And these are the sons of Noah. And in the 28th Jubilee, 1324 to 1372 a.m., Noah began to enjoin upon his sons the ordinance and commandments and all the judgments that he knew, and he exhorted his sons to observe righteousness and to cover the shame of their flesh and to bless their creator and honor father and mother and love their neighbor and guard their souls from fornication and uncleanness with all iniquity. For owing to these three things came the flood upon the earth, namely, owing to the fornication wherein the watchers against the law of their ordinances went a whoring after the daughters of men, and took themselves wives of all they chose, and they made the beginnings of uncleanness. And they beget sons, the Nephidim, and they were all unlike, and they devoured one another. And the giants slew the Nephil, and the Nephil slew the Eljo, and the Eljo mankind, and one man another. And every one sold himself to work iniquity, and to shed much blood, and the earth was filled with iniquity. And after this they sinned against the beasts and the birds and all that moves and walks on the earth, and much blood was shed on the earth, and every imagination and desire of men imagine vanity and evil continually. And the Lord destroyed everything from off the face of the earth because of the wickedness of their deeds, and because of the blood which they had shed in the midst of the earth. He destroyed everything. And we were left, I and you, my sons, and everything that entered into with us into the ark. And behold, I see your works before me, that ye do not walk in righteousness, for in the path of destruction ye have begun to walk, and ye are parting one from another, and are envious one of another. And so it comes that ye are not in harmony, my sons, each with his brother. For I see, and behold, the demons have begun their seductions against you and against your children, and now I fear on your behalf that after my death ye will shed the blood of men upon the earth, and that ye too will be destroyed from the face of the earth. For whoso sheddeth man's blood, and whoso eateth the blood of any flesh, shall all be destroyed from the earth. And there shall not be left any man that eateth blood, or that sheddeth the blood of man on the earth. Nor shall there be left to him any seed or descendants living under heaven. For into Sheol they shall go, and into the place of condemnation shall they descend. And into the darkness of the deep shall they all be removed by a violent death. There shall be no blood seen upon you of all the blood there shall be all the days in which ye have killed any beast or cattle, or whatever flies upon the earth, and work ye a good work to your souls by covering that which has been shed on the face of the earth. And ye shall not be like him who eats with blood, but guard yourselves that none may eat blood before you. Cover the blood, for thus have I been commanded to testify to you and your children together with all flesh. And suffer not the soul to be eaten with the flesh, and that your blood, which is your life, may not be required at the hand of any flesh that sheds it on the earth. For the earth will not be clean from the blood which has been shed upon it, for only through the blood of him that shed it will the earth be purified throughout all its generations. And now, my children, hearken, work judgment and righteousness, that ye may be planted in righteousness over the face of the whole earth, and your glory lifted up before my God, who saved me from the waters of the flood. And behold, ye will go, build for yourselves cities, and plant in them all the plants that are upon the earth, and moreover all fruit-bearing trees. For 3 years the fruit of everything that is eaten will not be gathered, and in the 4th year its fruit will be accounted holy, and they will offer the first fruits, acceptable before the Most High God, who created heaven and earth and all things. Let them offer in abundance the first of the wine and oil, as first fruits on the altar of the Lord who receives it. And what is left, let the servants of the house of the Lord eat before the altar which receives it. And in the 5th year make ye the release, so that ye release it in righteousness and uprightness, and ye shall be righteous, and all that ye plant shall prosper. For thus did Enoch, the father of your father, command Methuselah his son, and Methuselah his son Lamech, and Lamech commanded me all the things which his father commanded him. And I will also give you commandment, my sons, as Enoch commanded his son in the first Jubilee while still living. The 7th in his generation he commanded and testified to his son and to his son's sons until the day of his death.
Chapter 8. In the 29th Jubilee, in the first week, in the beginning thereof, Arphaxad took to himself a wife, and her name was Rasuja, the daughter of Susan, the daughter of Elam, and she bare him a son in the 3rd year in this week. And he called his name Canaan. And the son grew, and his father taught him writing. And he went to seek for himself a place where he might seize for himself a city. And And he found a writing which former generations had carved on the rock, and he read what was thereon, and he transcribed it and sinned owing to it. For it contained the teaching of the watchers, in accordance with which they used to observe the omens of the sun and the moon and stars and all the signs of heaven. And he wrote it down and said nothing regarding it, for he was afraid to speak to Noah about it, lest he should be angry with him on account of it. And in the 30th Jubilee, in the second week, in the first year thereof, he took him to himself a wife, and her name was Milcah, and the daughter of Madai, the son of Japheth. And in the 4th year, he begat a son, and called his name Shelah, for he said, Truly I have been sent. And in the 4th year he was born, and Shelah grew up and took to himself a wife, and her name was Malach, the daughter of Kesed, his father's brother, in the 31st Jubilee, in the 5th week, in the first year thereof. And she bare him a son in the 5th year thereof, and he called his name Eber. And he took unto himself a wife, and her name was Azarad, the daughter of Nimrod, aka Nimrod, in the 32nd Jubilee, in the 7th week, in the 3rd year thereof. And in the 6th year thereof, she bare him a son, and he called his name Peleg. For in the days when he was born, the children of Noah began to divide the earth amongst themselves. For this reason, he was called his name Peleg. And they divided it secretly amongst themselves, and told it to Noah. And it came to pass in the beginning of the 33rd Jubilee that they divided the earth into 3 parts, for Shem and Ham and Japheth, according to the inheritance of each, in the 1st year, in the 1st week, when one of us who had been sent was with them. And he called his sons, and they drew nigh to him, they and their children, and he divided the earth into lots, which his 3 sons were to take in possession. And they reached forth their hands, and took the writing out of the bosom of Noah their father. And there came forth on the writing as Shem's lot, the middle of the earth, which he should take as an inheritance for himself and for his sons for the generations of eternity. From the middle of the mountain range of Rapha, from the mouth of the water, from the river Tinah. And his portion goeth towards the west, through the midst of this river, and it extended until it reaches the water of the abysses, out of which this river goeth, and poureth its waters into the sea Miat. And this river floweth unto the great sea, and all that is towards the north is Japheth, and all that is towards the south belongeth to Shem. And it extended until it reached Carousel. This is in the bosom of the tongue, which looketh toward the south. And his portion extends along the great sea, and it extendeth in a straight line till it reaches the west of the tongue, which looks towards the south. For this sea is named the tongue of the Egyptian sea. And it turneth from here towards the south, toward the mouth of the great sea, on the shore of its waters, and it extendeth to the west to Afra. And it extended until it reaches the water of the river Gihon, and to the south of the waters of the Gihon, the Nile, to the banks of this river, and it extendeth toward the east till it reaches the Garden of Eden, to the south thereof, to the south, and to the east of the whole land of Eden, and of the whole cast it turneth to the east, and proceedeth till it reaches the east of the mountain named Rapha, and it descendeth to the bank of the mouth of the river Tinah. This portion came forth by lot for Shem and his sons, that they should possess it forever unto his generations forevermore. And Noah rejoiced that this portion came forth for Shem and for his sons, and he remembered all that he had spoken with his mouth in prophecy, for he had said, Blessed be the Lord God of Shem, and may the Lord dwell in the dwelling of Shem. And he knew that the Garden of Eden is the Holy of Holies, and the dwelling of the Lord, and Mount Sinai the center of the desert, and Mount Zion, the center of the navel of the earth. These three were created as holy places facing each other, and he blessed the God of the gods, who had put the word of the Lord into his mouth, and the Lord forevermore. And he knew that a blessed portion and a blessing had come to Shem and his sons unto the generations forever, the whole land of Eden, and the whole land of the Red Sea, and the whole land of the east, and India, and on the Red Sea, and the mountains thereof, and all the land of Bashan, and all the land of Lebanon, and the islands of Caphtor, and all the mountains of Sanir and Amanah, and the mountains of Asher in the north, and all the land of Elam, Asher, and Babel, and Susan, and Maadai, and all the mountains of Ararat, and all the region beyond the sea, which is beyond the mountains of Asher, towards the north, a blessed and spacious land, and all that is in it is very good. And for him came forth the second portion, beyond the Gihon, towards the south, to the right of the garden, and it extended toward the south, and it extended to all the mountains of fire, and it extended towards the west to the sea of Atel, and it extended toward the west till it reaches the sea of Mauk, that sea into which everything which is not destroyed descended. And it goeth forth toward the north to the limits of Gadir, and it goeth forth to the coast of the waters of the sea, to the waters of the great sea, till it draweth near to the river Gihon, and goeth along the river Gihon, till it reacheth the right of the Garden of Eden. And this is the land which came forth for Ham, as the portion which he was to occupy forever, for himself and his sons unto their generations forever. And for Japheth came forth the third portion beyond the river Tinah, to the north of the outflow of its waters, and it extended northeasterly to the whole region of Gog, and to all the country east thereof, and it extended northerly to the north, and it extended to the mountains of Ualt, or Kelt, towards the north, and towards the sea of Mauk, and it goeth forth to the east of Gadir, as far as the region of the waters of the sea. And it extended until it approached the west of Farah, and it returned towards Apharag, and it extended easterly to the waters of the sea of Meat, and it extended to the region of the river Tinah in a northeasterly direction, until it approaches the boundary of its waters towards the mountain Rapha, and it turneth around towards the north. This is the land which came forth for Japheth and his sons as the portion of his inheritance, which he should possess for himself and his sons for their generations forever, 5 great islands, and a great land in the north. But it is cold, and the land of Ham is hot, and the land of Shem is neither hot nor cold, but it is of blended cold and heat.
Jubilees, chapter 9. And Ham divided amongst his sons, and the first portion came forth for Cush towards the east, and to the west of him for Mitzrayim, and to the west of him for Put, and to the west of him, and to the west thereof on the sea for Canaan. And Shem also divided amongst his sons, and the first portion came forth for Ham and his sons, and to the east of the river Tigris, till it approaches the east, and the whole land of India, and on the Red Sea on its coast, and the waters of Dedan, and all the mountains of Mebri and Elah, and all the land of Susan, and all that is on the side of Farnok to the Red Sea and the river Tinah. And for Asher came forth the second portion, all the land of Asher and Nineveh and Shinar to the border of India, and it ascends and skirts the river. And for Arpachshad came forth the third portion, all the land of the region of the Chaldees to the east of the river of the Euphrates, bordering on the Red Sea, and all the waters of the desert close to the tongue of the sea, which looks towards Egypt, and all the land of Lebanon and Sanir and Amanah to the border of the Euphrates, And for Aram there came forth the fourth portion, all the land of Mesopotamia between the Tigris and Euphrates, to the north of the Chaldees, to the border of the mountains of Asher and the land of Ararah. And there came forth for Lud the fifth portion, the mountains of Asher and all appertaining to them, till it reaches the great sea, and till it reaches the east of Asher his brother. And Japheth also divided the land of his inheritance among his sons. And the first portion came forth for Gomer to the east from the north side of the river Tinah. And in the north there came forth for Magog all the inner portions of the north until it reaches to the sea of Meat. And for Madai came forth his portion, that he should possess from the west of his two brothers to the islands and to the coasts of the islands. And for Javan came forth the fourth portion, every island, and the islands which are towards the border of Lud. And for Tubal there came forth the fifth portion in the midst of the tongue which approaches towards the border of the portion of Lud to the second tongue, to the region beyond the second tongue unto the third tongue. And for Meshach came forth the sixth portion, all the region beyond the third tongue, till it approaches the east of Gadir. And for Tiras there came forth the seventh portion, 4 great islands in the midst of the sea, which reach to the portion of Ham, and the islands of Kamaturi came out by lot for the sons of Arpachshad as his inheritance. And thus the sons of Noah divided unto their sons in the presence of Noah their father, and he bound them all by an oath, imprecating a curse on everyone that sought to seize the portion which had not fallen to him by his lot. And they all said, so be it, for themselves and their sons forever throughout their generations, till the day of judgment, on which the Lord God shall judge them with a sword and with fire for all the unclean wickedness of their errors, wherewith they have filled the earth with transgression and uncleanness and fornication and sin.
Chapter 10. And in the 3rd week of this Jubilee, the unclean demons begin to lead astray the children of the sons of Noah, and to err and destroy them. And the sons of Noah came to Noah their father, and they told him concerning the demons which were leading astray and blinding and slaying his sons' sons. And he prayed before the Lord his God and said, God of the spirits of all flesh, who has shown mercy unto me, and has saved me and my sons from the waters of the flood, and has not caused me to perish, as thou didst the sons of perdition. For thy grace has been great towards me, and great has been thy mercy to my soul. Let thy grace be lifted up upon my sons, and let not wicked spirits rule over them, lest they should destroy them from the earth. But do thou bless me and my sons, that we may increase and multiply and replenish the earth. And thou knowest how thy watchers, the father of these spirits, acted in my day. And as for these spirits which are living, imprison them and hold them fast in the place of condemnation, and let them not bring destruction on the sons of thy servant, my God, for these are malignant and created in order to destroy. And let them not rule over the spirits of the living, for thou alone canst exercise dominion over them, and let them not have power over the sons of the righteous from henceforth and forevermore. And the Lord our God bade us to bind all. And the chief of the spirits, Mastema, came and said, Lord, Creator, let some of them remain before me, and let them hearken to my voice, and do all that I shall say unto them. For if some of them are not left to me, I shall not be able to execute the power of my will on the sons of men. For these are for corruption and leading astray before my judgment, for great is the wickedness of the sons of men. And he said, let the 10th part of them remain before him, and let 9 parts descend into the place of condemnation. And one of us he commanded that we should teach Noah all their medicines, for he knew that they would not walk in uprightness, nor strive in righteousness. And he did according to all his words. All the malignant evil ones were bound in the place of condemnation, and a 10th part of them were left, that they might be subject before Satan on earth. And we explained to Noah all the medicines of their diseases, together with their seductions, how he might heal them with herbs of the earth. And Noah wrote down all the things in a book as we instructed him concerning every kind of medicine. Thus the evil spirits were precluded from hurting the sons of Noah. And he gave all that he had written to Shem, his eldest son, for he loved him exceedingly above all his sons. And Noah slept with his fathers and was buried on Mount Lubar in the land of Ararat. 950 years he completed in his life, 19 jubilees in 2 weeks and 5 years. And his son on earth, and in his life on earth, he excelled the children of men, save Enoch, because of the righteousness wherein he was perfect. For Enoch's office was ordained for a testimony to the generations of the world, so that he should recount all the deeds of generation unto generation till the day of judgment. And in the 33rd Jubilee, in the first year of the second week, Peleg took to himself a wife whose name was Lomna, the daughter of Sennaar, and she bare him a son in the 4th year of this week. He called his name Reu, and he said, Behold, the children of men have become evil through the wicked purpose of building for themselves a city and a tower in the land of Shinar. For they departed from the land of Ararat eastward to Shinar, and in his days they built the city and the tower, saying, Go to, let us ascend thereby into heaven. And they began to build, and in the 4th week they made bricks with fire, and the bricks served them for stone, and the clay with which they cemented them together was asphalt, which comes out of the sea, and out of the fountains of the water in the land of Shinar. And they built it. 43 years were they building it, and its breadth was 203 bricks, and the height of a brick was the third of one. Its height amounted to 5,433 cubits and 2 palms, and the extent of one wall was 13 stades, and of the other 30 stades. And the Lord our God said unto us, Behold, they are one people, and this they begin to do, and now nothing will be withholden from them. Go to, let us go down and confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech, and they may be dispersed into cities and nations with one purpose will no longer abide with them till the day of judgment. And the Lord descended, and we descended with him to see the city and the tower which the children of men had built. And he confounded their language, and they no longer understood one another's speech. And they ceased to build the city and the tower. And for this reason, the whole land of Shinar is called Babel, because the Lord did there confound all the language of the children of men, and from thence they were dispersed into their cities, each according to his language and his nation. And the Lord sent a mighty wind against the tower, and overthrew it upon the earth. And behold, it was between Asher and Babylon in the land of Shinar, and they called its name Overthrow. In the 4th week of the 1st year, in the beginning thereof of the 4th and 30th Jubilee, were they dispersed from the land of Shinar. And Ham and his sons went into the land which he was to occupy, which he acquired as his portion in the land of the south. And Canaan saw the land of Lebanon to the river of Egypt, that it was very good. And he went not into the land of his inheritance to the west, that is to the sea, and he dwelt in the land of Lebanon, eastward and westward from the border of Jordan and from the border of the sea. And Ham his father, and Cush and Mitzrayim his brother, said to him, Thou hast settled in a land which is not thine, and which did not fall to us by lot. Do not do so, for if thou dost do so, thou and thy sons will fall in the land and be accursed through sedition. For by sedition ye have settled, and by sedition will thy children fall, and thou shalt be rooted out forever. Dwell not in the dwelling of Shem, for to Shem and to his sons did it come by their lot. Cursed art thou, and cursed shalt thou be beyond all the sons of Noah, by the curse by which we bound ourselves by an oath in the presence of the holy judge, and in the presence of Noah our father. But he did not hearken unto them, and dwelt in the land of Lebanon, from Hamath to the entering of Egypt, he and his sons unto this day. And for this reason the land is named Canaan. And Japheth and his sons went towards the sea, and dwelt in the land of their portion. Madai saw the land of the sea, and did not please him. And he begged a portion from Ham and Asher and Aphrashad his wife's brother, and he dwelt in the land of Media near his wife's brother until this day. And he called his dwelling place and the dwelling place of his sons Media, after the name of their father, Madai.
Okay. Jubilees, chapter 6. What do you have?
There's a lot of new moons going on here.
Yeah, I was looking at that and had something towards the end, but I don't remember exactly where, because I was
21?
thinking about where
Hmm.
the way Biblical Fellowship breaks down the words that have been translated as months and new moons should actually be appointed times. But then later in this, I don't remember exactly what verse because I was reading, it talks about those who follow the moon are going to screw up the whole calendar. And lo and behold, okay.
Agreed. When it's on these things where it's talking about new moon, it's meaning the beginning of the month. It's not meaning the new moon. It's meaning the beginning of the month. Because you got the what is it? To set the partition for the seasons is the first of the first month, first of the fourth, first of the seventh, and first of the 10th month. Not the new moon that occurs in there, but it's the first day.
Yep. And that, and also too, it mentions again the 364 days. But that in 36, it's prophesied, right? For there will be those who will assuredly make observation of the moon, how it disturbs the season and comes in from year to year 10 days too soon. For this reason, the years will come upon them when they will disturb the order and make it an abominable day, the day of testimony, and an unclean day, a feast day, and they will confound all the days, the holy with the unclean, and the clean day with the holy, unclean day with the holy. For they will go wrong as to the months and Sabbaths and feasts and jubilees. What else do you got from chapter 6? Anything?
Like several times the words forever is used. Continually. Not until someone comes along, it's continually, it's forever. Like for the festivals and Sabbaths, everything.
Yeah, something that kept jumping out at me, not only in this chapter, but the other ones, is the don't eat the blood. And then on the other side of that is Blutwurst, which is German blood sausage, or black pudding.
Blood pudding. Mm-hmm.
I've not ever eaten that. Okay, it just sounded disgusting to me.
Well, don't try it now. That apparently it's quite the delicacy in many parts of the world.
Oh, there's some pretty obvious reasons why the first century rabbinical people wanted this removed from the scriptures, because this is showing that all of those ordinances and everything were pre-Sinai, where they want the world to think that that was where it began. No, this was saying very clearly that Noah and his sons knew the commandments, knew the laws, knew the feast days, knew, the timing. So it kind of shows that they were trying to, what's the word I want to use? Deceive.
Yeah. So that the other thing is too, you can see their influence in it too, trying to hide it, trying to do that when they came out with, when they're trying to say, oh, well, we'll keep the law, but everyone else can keep the Noahide laws. But then they changed the Noahide laws to not include Sabbath. Sabbath's only for us. Yeah. You know what it's like? Trying to share cake. That's what it's like when you're a kid. This is your piece, and this is my piece.
That's like me with the pan of brownies. That's why I only make brownies twice a year.
Okay, so let's go to 7. Chapter 7. I guess I could go that way. There we go. All right. So we have Noah with his drinking and being shamed by Ham. Yeah, what do you think that is?
Okay, before that though, when he gets drunk, okay, so many people, because Genesis is such a Cliff Notes, quick summary, they think that he just got off the boat and he got drunk right away. No, he planted that vineyard. He went through the whole process of leaving it alone for 3 years. Then what he did is he harvested in the 4th, and in the 5th year, the beginning of the 5th year, was when he imbibed in that new wine, okay? And drank a little too much. But I've seen people put in comments of like, well, the fruit was fermented after being in the flood. And I'm sitting there going, it was 5 years. It was 5 years since the flood. Yeah. Ham already had, was it Cush? Canaan? Okay. It said here.
Canaan.
Yes, the one that he cursed. Okay. And the curse came because of a vision that Noah had, that he was going to basically be a squatter on land that wasn't his. Okay. And that's in another writing, but you don't just curse a child. There was a reason he cursed him. It was because of a vision he had been given.
Okay, what else do we have? Okay, we talk about this chapter talks about their genealogies, their descendants, who they were, who came from them. And, like you had mentioned before, Glenna, it covers the, it seems to be, if you're getting this as well, it is the angel talking with Moses saying, this is why you're getting it now, and this is why they did it then for this chapter.
Oh, and there was some cool stuff. Okay, like regarding the demons. Okay.
Is that this chapter?
Are we in 7?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, yes. 27.
27. Okay. And that, coincides with like Enoch 10 chapter of Enoch. And also I've got 2nd Esdras chapter 7 in there as well. But is this where they also tell them how many is going to be allowed to assist Mastema, where 10% of them are allowed for his use?
It's later in today's reading.
Okay, then I'll hold on.
And you had something, Lynn?
I did. The guy stopped sawing my tree out there. So verse 33 sounds like a lot like Jesus to me. I mean, the first time I read it, the second time I read it, it's just like, wait, the blood of him that shed it will be the earth be purified. For the earth will not be clean from the blood which has been shed upon it. For only through the blood of him that shed it will the earth be purified through all its generations. That sounds like Jesus to me.
At the second coming? Because
No,
it's
that
going to be,
sounds like Jesus coming across to shed his blood for once and for all for the atonement of sin. That's what it sounds like to me. I could be way off, but that's what verse 33 kind of gets me to in my head. Sorry, guys cutting my tree down.
Lynn?
Yes.
Okay. So, because when I'm thinking about this, I mean, it talks about how, what is it? The blood will be like flowing, what is it? Chest high on a horse or whatever in Revelation when he comes back. That's what I'm wondering, because that's going to end up being pretty bloody. And after that, things are going to be sanctified and purified. Possibly. Okay, that's kind of, but we're both thinking along the same lines as there's pointing to our Savior on this.
For sure. Somehow.
Okay, let's go to 8. That. Excuse me.
It's interesting. He wrote down these the teachings of the Watchers, and then it just stops. It's like he wrote it down, he kept it a secret, and then nothing.
Right. And that, well, it's going to be coming up later.
I'm sure it is.
So some headings.
Okay, speaking of the teachings of the Watchers, because like in Enoch, it says, they taught the cutting of roots and that sort of thing. All right. So we got some serious pharmakeia and genetic stuff going on. All right. Okay. I'm posing a theory here, but there was ancient manuscript called the Voynich manuscript that they found, and experts have tried to decipher this stuff. And I've seen the illustrations, and I've, in several documentaries that have been done on it, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, this is talking about the mingling of the plants and the roots, and they finally, I think, identified it as pretty much ancient Turkish writings, as best they can tell, coming like from around the time of the Tower of Babel. And I'm thinking he also found the genetic way to, or pharmakeia, to manipulate the growth in people, which caused the giants post-flood, just putting it out there.
No, I've seen that. I've read about that before as well. And, what was old is new again. That, look how smart we are. Yeah, okay. Let's see, what else is in here? So we have that, and we have the marriage of his grandchildren, and also the division of the lands. to his 3 sons, and then his grandsons also break up the land. Something that I was thinking about this through this and the next chapter. Water and mountains are spiritual boundaries, which is why we have in Revelation, the river Euphrates dries up. And now we have rivers drying up all over the world. Huge rivers, massive, massive rivers. Right?
And we have new ones forming in different places where they weren't before. Or maybe they were there a long, long time ago, and they're now, it's incredible.
Yep. So, as we talk about Daniel, the prince of Persia, right? We have all these princes that are now getting new dominions, and that river dries up. If you watched that study I did on Time's Almost Up, when the river dries up, everybody says, the kings of the East. The kings of the East, that means China, because China is east of the river Euphrates. But if you look at a map of ancient Babylon, the Euphrates ran right through the city, with the main part of the city east of the Euphrates. And the god that I believe is becoming the most prominent of those 3 right now is Marduk, who's the god of nation. And everybody's saying, to heck with the New World Order. We don't need a one world government. Our country will stand alone for our people. And then they are reaching back and patting themselves on the back for defeating what people in pulpits promised is going to be Satan's final one world government, ignoring the fact that Daniel talks about, or Nebuchadnezzar dreamed about 10 toes on the statue, and that the political beast in Revelation that's identified as the kingdoms are 10 crowns coming with 10 horns representing these leaders. But no, it's just one person that's going to rule all the world. Distracted much? Okay. What else do you got from chapter 8? Since I'm off on this rabbit trail crossing the train tracks.
This is where we need like some really cool map where you can like take it one of those little batons and say, okay, this area here and that area there, and showing the areas that were mapped out.
Well, and it would be nice if we had the names that we're using now matched up with the names of then, so that we could kind of like, see what area is where, because it does get confusing. And I noticed they changed the names of these things. And like last week or Saturday that we learned, they changed, or something that I watched, they changed the names of people in the word, and where you don't know that's the same person. So you're thinking this is somebody else, and then it just confuses everything. So
see, that's one thing that's really cool about the early editions of the Sefer, is he used the modern names of the regions. So you can totally see people. I mean, if you look now, you can tell that the people in Somalia and Ethiopia are different than people in India. And those people are different than people in Russia. But everybody wants to say, no, everybody's just all the same persons and people.
No, because everybody got their own language, so they had to like form their own little group so they could understand each other.
Yep.
And so the nations.
Imagine that. Well, you don't have to. Look at it.
It's right down.
Look at the reality. Okay. What else do we have here? I think it's interesting the way this ends off. Right? For this is the land verses 29 and 30. This is the land which came forth for Japheth and his sons as the portion of his inheritance, which he should possess for himself and his sons for their generations forever. 5 great islands and a great land in the north, but it is cold. And the land of Ham is hot. And the land of Shem is neither hot nor cold, but it is of blended cold and heat. Okay, let's go.
Interesting thought here.
Okay.
That came to me when she was reading that today, which I hadn't picked up on. What about that saying, I'd rather you be hot or cold? If you're lukewarm, I'll spew you out.
That's in Revelation, the warning to the churches, to Laodicea. And it's something they could relate to because they had plumbing that came down from the mountains. And by the time it got to them, it was neither cold nor hot. And if you've worked in the desert and grabbed your bottled water off the dashboard, it brings a whole new level of nasty to you. Yuck. And anyways, that, the thing that gets me is time and time again, this is a rabbit trail, but time and time again, I hear people say, people are hot for Jesus, but if you're cold, that means you're of Satan. No, it doesn't say that. He said, you're telling me that Jesus warns the church, I wish you were cold like Satan. You deserve to be slapped upside the head with a 2x4 for saying such a thing. He creates cold and he creates hot.
Mm-hmm.
That he is not wanting you to be of Satan. Right? But sometimes, what's cold? You know what's cold? Tough love. That's cold. And it's harsh. Right? I mean, it takes all types.
Mm-hmm.
But a person that disciplines loves. Because if they didn't love, they wouldn't care. They wouldn't bother with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay, so chapter 9. Make sure I'm not muted. That we have Ham dividing up the portions among his sons, and Shem also doing it. This is a really short chapter, and it pretty much just describes the boundaries that everybody's going to get. Although it does mention India, but again, we have more mountains, more water boundaries, where everybody's going, and they all swear by that oath too. This land was given to me and my sons. We will live here. We will not take land that is not ours. But how ingrained is that in modern society? Ha ha! We took over your nation. Subject yourself to me. Because me.
Me, my little temple.
Right? They even have that song about it. Me. Okay. Anyways.
Okay, and this chapter is where it talks about the 10th part.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So I know it gets kind of strange when people start talking numbers, but there was something about the 20 million, 200 million army that's going to come up out of the ground. Okay, the locust people. Okay, let's assume possibility that that's the 90% that got put away. So that means there's like 200,000, 22 demons that have been on, roaming around since this time that they were put away. So that means, all of that is like 2. And there's something to that in the numerology.
Yep. And that is interesting. So 200 million, right? 200,000. Interesting.
Room 222, ring a bell?
No.
Okay, I don't know how old you are, Jonathan, but you're obviously younger than I am. Okay, because that was a television show that came out in the late 80s, not 80s, 60s, like around 1967, something like that. Room 222, and there's something about that, and that whole 200 million army or whatever. I'm thinking, does that have something to do with the 90% put away, and then that 10%, and then all those would equal up all those twos. Anyway, that's just one of those things where I try to connect dots.
And you say it was late 70s, early 70s?
Was in the 70s. I remember
late 60s, and early 70s.
Yes.
And that was the name, Room 222?
Room 222, and it was a sitcom. It was a sitcom.
Yes, but you want to know something? We're talking about Hollywood here, and they communicate stuff through their language, and their titles.
Well, and it's not all Hollywood, it's the whole industry, whether it be here or over in Europe, wherever it's based. I've noticed a lot of because I don't give a lot of Hollywood my time, so I watch a lot of foreign flicks, but I've noticed that in those as well. Yep.
Yeah, I remember that. Something my mom watched. Boring. Okay. So yes, this is in chapter 10. This is him making that deal for the 10th part. But also we have measurements for how far along they got on the Tower of Babel.
Mm-hmm.
So they were using some pretty big bricks. Now this is saying stades. I'm wondering, is that stadia as a distance of measurement? And all we have reference to is the ancient Greek stadia, which is well after this. But a stadia then was, what was it, 6 feet, I think. Oops, helps if you spell it correctly. About 185 meters, one stadia.
Feet.
Or a stadium, sorry, a stadium, 185 meters. So that's going to be, dun, dun, dun. What did I say? 185 about. Convert. What were you talking about numerology a minute ago? It's 606.955380575 feet.
Round that up.
Still, it would be 607. Still, interesting number there. So that, and how many did we have in this?
Stayed, furlong.
Yep. So 5,433 cubits tall, which is pretty high. And the extent of one wall, I'm thinking that means the thickness of it is 13 stades, and the other was 30 stades.
I've seen some vids where they've shown about how high that would be, and that it was actually even taller than like the Burj Khalifa that's like the tallest building at this point over there in Oh God, what is that Arabian area?
Arabia.
Well, is it close to Arabia? Dubai? Is that where the Burj Khalifa is?
I don't know. No, but I watched and shared several years ago now a documentary on. There is a mountain that looks like a pyramid shape with steep walls at the bottom, and it's like in northern India, Tibet, China, Western China, all that area. But the local religious cult or whatever it is there do a pilgrimage to go walk around that mountain, right? And it takes 3 days. Right? Remember in Jasher, it said it took 3 days to walk around the base of Tower of Babel. So people think that's the location. And it is in the east of what used to be Shinar. So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, that tower is in Dubai.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Lynn.
You bet.
Okay. So this wraps up with, and he called his dwelling place the dwelling place of and the dwelling place of his sons Media, Persia. Media, after the name of their father, Madai. Okay. Let's let everybody go, eat their dinner, and have a beautiful evening. Don't eat any blood sausage or blood gravy.
No,
Knock it off. Okay.
that steak good.
Okay. No.
Mm.
All right. Thank you for reading, Lynn. Thank you for reading, Glenna. We will be back with another amazing episode of The Word 231. Continuing in Jubilees, chapters 11 through 15 next time. So until then, we love you all, and we'll talk to you very soon. Like, share, subscribe. Ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling. Okay. Love you all. Bye.